My fiancé told me to stop calling him my future husband because it made him look like he's settled. So I did something he never saw coming.
My name is Talia Grayson. I'm 33 years old, and until recently I thought my future was already mapped out. In my mind, a year from now I'd be standing under warm lights, dressed in white, repeating vows I'd rewritten too many times, trying to sound effortlessly meaningful. My parents would be emotional. His parents would pretend not to be. Our friends would laugh too loudly, drink too much, and call it love. That was the plan. Instead, I found myself sitting alone in an apartment that suddenly felt too quiet, replaying one sentence over and over again until it stopped feeling real. Stop introducing me as your future wife. It makes me look like I settled. Daniel didn't say it jokingly. There was no softness to hide behind. He said it plainly, like something he'd been thinking for a long time. If you had asked me a year ago what we were like, I would have said we were stable, not dramatic, not intense, just solid. We met at a dull work seminar, bonded over bad coffee and worse pastries, and somehow turned that into something real. We made sense, same lifestyle, same expectations, same timeline. Or at least that's what I believed. But over the past few months, things started shifting in small ways, comments here and there, questions about my career, comparisons to his friends. "Don't you want more?" he'd ask casually. At first I brushed it off. Everyone has moments of pressure, right? But the comments kept coming, subtle but consistent, like a quiet background noise I couldn't quite ignore. Then came the party. A rooftop event filled with polished conversations and carefully curated success stories. When I introduced him as my fiancé, everything seemed normal, until later. In the car, he said it bothered him. Not because it wasn't true, but because of how it sounded. I told myself he was tired, that it didn't mean anything. I was wrong. Because a few nights later, at dinner with his colleagues, I said it again. This time I called him my future husband. And that's when everything cracked. On the drive home, he didn't hold back. And this time, I couldn't pretend I misunderstood. But what he said next didn't just hurt, it completely changed how I saw our entire relationship. The moment we got into the car, I knew something was off. He shut the door harder than usual, his jaw tight, hands gripping the wheel like he was holding something back. "I asked you not to do that," he said. I didn't even need to ask what he meant, but I did anyway. "Introduce me like that," he replied, "as your future husband." I blinked, confused. "That's what you are." He exhaled sharply, like I was missing the point. "It makes me look like I settled." That word hit differently the second time. Settled. I turned toward him slowly. "Like you what?" "Like I couldn't do better," he snapped. The car fell silent, except for the hum of the road. Then he said something worse. He started comparing me to his friends' partners, doctors, executives, entrepreneurs, women who, in his words, were more driven, more impressive. "And you," he said, not even looking at me, "you're comfortable." Comfortable, as if that was something to be ashamed of. In that moment, everything clicked. All the small comments, the subtle digs, the comparisons disguised as observations. This wasn't new. This was how he saw me. I felt something inside me shift, not anger, not yet, something colder, clearer. "You think being with me makes you look bad?" I asked quietly. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. That silence said everything. We drove home like strangers. He went to bed, claiming he didn't want to argue. But I stayed up, not crying, not yelling, just thinking. For 3 years, I had been adjusting myself without realizing it, softening edges, ignoring discomfort, convincing myself that everything was fine. But now I saw it clearly. If I stayed, this would be my life, constantly trying to prove I was enough to someone who had already decided I wasn't. So I opened my laptop, and instead of questioning myself, I made a decision, one that would quietly dismantle everything we had built. By the time he woke up the next morning, our future was already over. He just didn't know it yet. That night, while Daniel slept peacefully beside me, I started removing myself from his world. Not dramatically, not loudly, quietly. I opened our shared calendar and began cancelling everything tied to us as a couple. Events, gatherings, brunches, celebrations, every place where I was listed as his +1. No explanations, no arguments, just absence. Then I reached out to someone unexpected, Melissa, his closest friend, the only person in his circle who had ever treated me like I mattered beyond appearances. When I told him what he said, there was a long silence. Then she responded with something I didn't expect. Anger. Not at me, at him. By the end of that call, we had a plan. Sunday brunch, his favorite place, his people, his environment. Melissa would arrive early and place an envelope at his seat. Inside it, a letter from me and the official confirmation that our wedding venue had been cancelled. No confrontation, no scene, just clarity, delivered where it would matter most to him. The next morning, he acted like everything was normal, ironing his shirt twice, checking his reflection, avoiding the tension sitting between us. "Are you coming to brunch?" he asked. "No." He sighed, annoyed. "Can we not make this awkward?" I looked at him calmly. Something already is. He didn't push further. When he left, the apartment fell silent, but for the first time in weeks, it didn't feel heavy. It felt intentional. Then my phone buzzed. "He's here," Melissa texted. "Envelope is on the table." I stared at the screen and waited. Minutes later, my phone lit up with his name. Call after call, then messages. "What is this? Did you actually cancel the venue? Answer me." I didn't respond because, for once, I didn't need to explain myself. 20 minutes later, he wasn't texting anymore. He was standing at our door, furious and desperate for answers. The door slammed open so hard it hit the wall. Daniel stood there, holding the envelope like it had personally betrayed him. "What the hell is this?" he demanded. I didn't move from my chair. It's exactly what it looks like. You cancelled our wedding, he snapped, without even talking to me. I met his eyes, steady. I said being with me makes you look like you settled. I solved that problem. He stared at me, stunned. Are you serious right now? You humiliated me. I let out a quiet breath. You humiliated me first. He paced the room, running his hair through his hair. It was one comment, one mistake. No, I said calmly, it wasn't. I reminded him of the months of subtle criticism, the comparisons, the way he had slowly chipped away at my confidence. He tried to defend himself. I was stressed. You were honest, I corrected. That's what scared him, not what he said, but that I believed it. I walked to the counter, picked up the ring box and placed it between us. I'm done. He froze. You can't just end this like that. I already did. For a moment, he looked like he might break. His anger faded into something weaker, panic. Please, he said quietly, don't do this. But I didn't respond. Because I knew if I gave him even a little space, he would try to pull me back in. And I was finally done being pulled. Eventually, he packed a bag. When he reached the door, he turned one last time, but this time, he left. I thought that would be the end, but what happened in the weeks after proved just how much I had underestimated the impact of that one decision. The days after he left were strange. Not dramatic, not chaotic, just quiet. At first he flooded my phone with messages, anger, denial, then desperation. I didn't mean it. I'm getting help. Please talk to me. But I had already heard the truth. And once you hear it clearly, you can't unhear it. So I didn't go back. Instead, I started untangling my life from his. Finances, lease agreements, shared plans. It was messy, but necessary. Somewhere in the middle of all that, something unexpected happened. I felt relief. Not happiness yet, but relief. Like stepping off a path that was leading somewhere I didn't belong. Weeks passed. I reconnected with friends, picked up hobbies I'd abandoned, started living without constantly measuring myself against someone else's expectations, and slowly I felt like myself again. Then one day I ran into him. He was sitting at a cafe with someone else. When he saw me, he froze, but I didn't. I greeted him politely and walked away. No anger, no sadness, just closure. Later he texted me, "You looked happy." I didn't reply, because I was. Not because everything was perfect, but because I had finally chosen myself. That one sentence he said, it didn't destroy me. It revealed the truth. And walking away wasn't revenge. It was the most honest, self-respecting decision I had made in years. Sometimes the moment that breaks your heart is the same moment that sets you free. You just don't realize it until you finally walk away.
Before you go, if you think this story was shocking, you need to watch this